This young man endured a difficult life at work. His toxic boss didn't respect him, but when he was returning home, he saw an elderly man needing help on the street, and then he unexpectedly went to help until... In a bustling neighborhood, the days started early for Lucas, a 23-year-old forklift operator. Inside the vast and noisy warehouse where he worked, Lucas skillfully maneuvered through narrow aisles and high stacks of boxes and pallets. The forklift, worn from constant use, emitted a relentless hum that blended with the sounds of machinery and honking, creating an almost deafening cacophony. The routine was brutally exhausting. Lucas began his shift at dawn and often only saw sunlight again at the end of the day. Each day brought the burden of intense physical labor, leaving his muscles sore and his hands calloused. Despite the exhaustion, there was no room for error. Precision was crucial, and any slip could lead to dangerous accidents. Compounding the already challenging environment was his boss, Marta. A woman with a harsh voice and relentless demands, Marta seemed to take particular displeasure in targeting Lucas. She never missed an opportunity to criticize him, often raising her voice so it echoed down the warehouse aisles. "Lucas, is that any way to stack? I want those boxes aligned before you even think about turning around," she would shout, as Lucas adjusted the pallets under the critical gaze of his coworkers. At another time, she remarked acidly, "If you spent less time daydreaming, maybe we'd finish the day earlier." Despite the constant rebukes and the humiliation they brought, Lucas kept his head high. His salary, although modest, was the livelihood of his home, where he lived with his mother, a kind and caring woman who had sacrificed much for him. Memories of his mother caring for him with love and dedication during the toughest times motivated him to persevere, despite the hardships at work. At the end of each day, as the warehouse emptied and silence began to take over the space previously occupied by incessant noise, Lucas allowed himself a few moments to take deep breaths and feel the day's burden slowly lift from his shoulders. He knew that it would all start over the next day. But the hope for a better future and the responsibility to take care of his mother were the flames that kept his spirit burning. On one such evening, as he left the warehouse, Lucas walked to the bus stop, joining the mass of workers who also longed for the comfort of their homes. As the bus approached, a fragile figure on the sidewalk caught his attention, triggering a series of events that would forever change his life. On that rainy night, as the bus slowly made its way through the drenched city, Lucas gazed thoughtfully at the raindrops streaming down the window, reflecting the streetlight's glow. The fatigue from another grueling day weighed on his shoulders, but the view of the outside world, blurred by the rain curtain, brought a moment of calm introspection. As the bus stopped at one of its usual points, a scene outside captured his attention and broke the silence of his thoughts. Under the dim light of a street lamp, a frail elderly man tried to shelter from the relentless rain. Dressed in thin, inadequate clothing for the cold and damp weather, he looked confused and disoriented, as if searching for something or someone who could help. The indifference of the other passengers was palpable. Absorbed in their phones or avoiding eye contact with the window, everyone seemed determined to ignore the uncomfortable reality outside. However, Lucas could not look away nor suppress the urge to help. With silent resolve, he pressed the button to signal the next stop, his heart beating a bit faster with the decision made. Once the bus stopped, Lucas quickly stepped off, approaching the elderly man with determined yet gentle steps. The man, noticing his approach, raised his eyes with a mix of surprise and relief. Without exchanging words, Lucas offered his arm for support, and together they walked through the wet streets, with Lucas carefully guiding to avoid puddles and slippery patches. Their destination was a small diner a few blocks away, a modest but welcoming place known for its warm lights and the inviting aroma of coffee and fresh bread. As they entered, the warmth of the environment enveloped them like a comforting embrace. Lucas led the elderly man to a quiet corner, where they could sit away from the draft of cold air that announced itself with every opening of the door. As they waited for their order, Lucas watched the elderly man with a mix of concern and curiosity. The man seemed to gradually regain some of his spirits, warmed by the environment and the hot drink that was served. However, there was a shadow of something unspoken, a a weight that seemed to linger in his eyes, which contemplated distantly the movement of the street beyond the foggy, moisture-laden window. At the end of the meal, in a show of gratitude that would transcend their brief encounter, the elderly man discreetly slipped something into Lucas's coat pocket. This small, almost unnoticed gesture would mark the beginning of a chain of events that would unfold in ways Lucas could never have anticipated. As Lucas walked home that rainy evening, the weight of the elderly man's gratitude, a mere slip of paper and a small key, rested in his pocket, unbeknownst to him. The mundane act of assisting someone had unfolded into an exchange laden with mystery. This unnoticed token, discreetly placed by the elderly man as a quiet thank you, was destined to ignite a cascade of events that would steer Lucas's life in a new direction. The night passed as it usually did, with Lucas's mind occupied by the day's events and the weariness settling deep into his bones. He slept fitfully, the image of the elderly man's relieved smile flickering through his dreams, a silent reminder of the small yet significant impact of his actions. Morning arrived with the familiar sound of bustling activity in the modest kitchen of the home he shared with his mother. As sunlight filtered weakly through the curtains, Lucas, still half ensconced in sleep, was unaware of the curious turn his life was about to take. His mother, a meticulous woman, had taken up her daily routine of cleaning and organizing, which included tending to the laundry that had accumulated over the past week. As she sorted through the clothes, her hands familiar with the task, she felt a crinkle of paper in the pocket of Lucas's jacket. Her fingers, seasoned by years of caring for her family's needs, recognized the unusual texture and weight of what should have been an empty space. Intrigued, she carefully extracted the folded note and the small key, her brows knitting together in a mix of curiosity and concern. The note was simple yet cryptic, containing nothing but an address scribbled in hasty, almost illegible handwriting. The key, small and unassuming, seemed ordinary, yet its presence alongside the note hinted at something far from mundane. Her mind raced with possibilities and worries. Could this be something dangerous? Why would her son have such items in his pocket? Lucas, emerging from his room, greeted by the aroma of breakfast, noticed the change in his mother's demeanor. She held out the note and key with a questioning look, her eyes searching his for an explanation. Lucas, taken aback, could only offer a shrug of ignorance. He had no memory of acquiring these items. As realization dawned that it must have been the elderly man's doing, a mixture of intrigue and apprehension filled him. The decision to explore the mystery came naturally to Lucas. Despite his mother's voiced concerns and the logical wariness that should accompany such an enigmatic discovery, his life of mundane hardships had instilled in him a certain fearlessness, a readiness to face the unknown. The note was not just a piece of paper, it was an invitation to an unforeseen path, and the key, however small, was perhaps the literal key to unlocking a new chapter in his life. Thus, with his mother's reluctant blessing and a multitude of unspoken fears and hopes hanging between them, Lucas prepared to step out once more into the world, the address from the note firmly etched in his mind, leading him towards a destination unknown and a future unforeseen. The promise of discovery, or perhaps the resolution of this peculiar mystery, beckoned him to a grand building in a part of the city he seldom visited, where the next chapter of his life awaited initiation. With the cryptic note and its accompanying key securely in his pocket, Lucas set out beneath a sky that promised rain. The air was cool, tinged with the fresh scent of an impending storm, adding a dramatic backdrop to what felt increasingly like a venture into the unknown. His mother's words of caution echoed in his mind, creating a subtle undercurrent of anxiety that mingled with his own mounting curiosity. Navigating through the bustling streets, Lucas found himself moving towards a part of the city less familiar to him. The buildings here were taller, the facades grander, and the pace of life palpably faster. Each step seemed to draw him further from his world of routine and into a realm where anything felt possible. Finally, he arrived at the address from the note, a formidable commercial building that loomed large against the gray sky. Its exterior was clad in panels of dark glass and steel, reflecting the city's life in myriad distorted shapes. Lucas paused to take in the sight, the scale of the building imposing a sense of smallness upon him, yet the pull of what might lie inside spurred him forward. As he approached the gleaming entrance, the automatic doors slid open with a silent grace, ushering him into a lobby that was sleek and modern. The interior was a stark contrast to the warehouse he was accustomed to. Here, the air was scented with a subtle fragrance, the floors were polished to a reflective sheen, and soft ambient music filled the space, creating an atmosphere of quiet sophistication. His heart thudded with a mix of nerves and excitement as he stepped further inside, his eyes scanning the lobby for any sign of the elderly man. It didn't take long for him to spot him. There, seated on a minimalist bench near a tranquil indoor fountain, was the elderly gentleman who had changed the course of his evening just a few nights ago. The man appeared calm and collected, a stark contrast to the fragile figure Lucas had helped under the rain-soaked streetlight. Seeing him in this context, waiting with an air of expectancy, Lucas felt a surge of surreal realization wash over him. The mundane elements of his daily life seemed suddenly distant, overshadowed by the unfolding reality of this encounter. As he stood there, momentarily frozen by the significance of the moment, the elderly man looked up, his eyes meeting Lucas's. The recognition in his gaze was unmistakable, imbued with a quiet welcome that suggested he had been anticipating this very moment. The initial surprise of finding the man in such an imposing setting shifted quickly into a keen eagerness to understand the reasons behind the mysterious invitation. Lucas's journey from the simple act of kindness on a rainy night to this grand, unexpected stage was about to take an even more remarkable turn as the elderly man gestured for him to come closer, ready to reveal the purpose behind the enigmatic note and key. As Lucas moved towards him, each step was a movement towards a new chapter of his life that was just beginning to unfold. As Lucas approached, the elderly man rose to meet him, his demeanor marked by a quiet dignity that seemed to fill the expansive space of the lobby. In this unexpected setting, far removed from the rain-drenched streets where they first met, the man's true identity began to unfold. He was not merely a retiree needing assistance. He was a businessman, once at the helm of the very empire housed within the towering structure before which Lucas now stood. The man's story was one of immense success and strategic acumen, having built his company from a modest venture into a formidable commercial powerhouse. Yet, now in the twilight of his career, he faced the daunting prospect of finding a successor, someone who could not only lead with skill but with integrity. His search had been long and unfruitful, marred by encounters with opportunists and those merely adept at wearing masks of deceit. That rainy evening, when Lucas had extended a hand of aid without expectation of reward, he had unknowingly showcased the very qualities the elderly businessman sought. It was a simple act of kindness, yet it resonated deeply with the man, who saw in Lucas the potential for much more than even Lucas himself might have imagined. In the heart of that sleek lobby, surrounded by the hum of quiet conversations and the soft clinking of coffee cups, the businessman unveiled his proposal. He offered Lucas a position within his company, a role not of menial tasks, but one with significant responsibilities and opportunities for growth. The salary, a figure far beyond what Lucas had ever earned, was spoken of in a matter-of-fact manner, but to Lucas, it sounded like the sum of dreams long held but scarcely hoped for. Lucas, still processing the gravity of the moment, felt a surge of emotions. The offer was not just a job proposal, but a lifeline, promising a departure from the relentless grind of his daily existence into a world where his actions could foster broader impacts. Here was a chance to reshape his life's trajectory, to build a future filled with possibilities he had never dared to contemplate. The decision to accept came naturally, almost instinctively. The trust placed in him by the elderly man not only validated Lucas's inherent goodness, but also ignited a newfound confidence in his own potential. As he nodded his agreement, a sense of purpose, strong and clear, began to take root. With the acceptance of the offer, Lucas's world shifted on its axis. The mundane reality of forklifts and warehouse shadows fell away, replaced by the bright promise of boardrooms and business strategies. As he stood beside the man who had seen worth in a simple act of kindness, Lucas felt the first thrilling pulse of a new beginning. Stepping forward, Ready to embrace the challenges of this new role, Lucas followed the elderly man deeper into the building, toward the executive offices where his new life would begin. The corridors they walked through seemed to echo with the weight of decisions made and futures altered, a fitting prelude to the next chapter of Lucas's life that was about to unfold. As Lucas stepped into his new role, the office building became a second home, its corridors and conference rooms stages upon which he learned and grew. Under the elderly businessman's mentorship, each day was an intricate dance of instruction and application, theory interwoven with the reality of running a vast enterprise. The businessman whom Lucas had come to regard with deep respect and affection was an adept mentor. His teaching style was not just about imparting knowledge, but about nurturing wisdom. He used the rhythms of the business world, its peaks and valleys, as live tutorials for Lucas to observe and understand the delicate balance of risk and caution. Their relationship deepened, rooted in shared goals and mutual respect. The businessman shared stories from his own life, not just his successes, but also his failures. Each story a carefully chosen lesson in resilience and foresight. Lucas absorbed these tales eagerly, aware that the trust his mentor placed in him was both a gift and a responsibility. This mentorship extended beyond the confines of business strategy and management. The elderly man took a keen interest in Lucas's personal development, encouraging him to think not only about how to lead a company, but also about the kind of man he wanted to become. Discussions that began with quarterly reports and market predictions often segued into reflections on integrity, legacy, and the impact of one's actions on others and the world at large. Lucas found himself changing, his worldview expanding with every shared experience and imparted wisdom. He learned to approach problems with a balance of heart and mind, to lead not just with commands, but with compassion and vision. The walls of the businessman's office witnessed Lucas's transformation from a young warehouse worker to a thoughtful and capable executive, groomed for leadership in a world he had never imagined he would be part of. As the months passed, the bond between the Gouffnem grew stronger, resembling that of a father and son more than merely a mentor and protege. The businessman saw in Lucas not just a successor who could continue his legacy, but a young man he was proud to guide into a future brimming with potential. With every new lesson and shared moment, Lucas felt increasingly ready to take on greater responsibilities. He was not just learning to manage a business, but to inspire those around him, to carry forward the values and vision that had been entrusted to him. It was a profound transformation, observed with quiet satisfaction by the elderly man who had recognized Lucas's potential on that rainy night. Now, standing on the cusp of yet another significant shift in his journey, Lucas prepared to face new challenges that would test the very fibers of the teachings he had received. As he continued to grow under the businessman's guidance, a profound respect and mutual reliance flourished, setting the stage for the next chapter of Lucas's life, one that would test his newly forged skills in ways he could scarcely have imagined before. As the years unfolded, the seasons within the grand corridors of the business shifted, mirroring the changes in the elderly businessman's health. Lucas, now deeply embedded in the fabric of the company and his mentor's life, watched with a mixture of admiration and concern as the once robust figure of the businessman began to wane. Time, relentless and unyielding, slowly etched its marks upon him, and his once brisk stride turned into a measured pace, his booming voice softened into a quieter tone. Despite the decline in his physical vigor, his mental acuity and passion for his work remained undiminished, a testament to his enduring spirit. Lucas's role gradually shifted from being a mere student of business to an integral pillar upon which the company leaned. He handled daily operations with a competence and assurance that were fruits of his mentor's exhaustive training. Their meetings, once filled with lessons and stories, became sessions where strategies and decisions were discussed as equals. The businessman's trust in Lucas evident in every plan laid and action advised. When the inevitable came, it was a quiet morning in the very office where the businessman had shared countless insights. His passing was peaceful, a stark contrast to the dynamic life he had lived. The grief that gripped Lucas was profound, not just for the loss of a mentor, but for the loss of a surrogate father, a guiding star in the vast firmament of his life. The reading of the will was a somber affair. The lawyer, a longtime confidant of the businessman, presented the documents with a gravity that filled the room. As Lucas listened, the magnitude of the trust placed in him unfurled. The businessman had left not only his vast fortune to Lucas, but also the entirety of his business empire. This bequest was not made out of mere affection, but was a deliberate choice, recognizing Lucas's loyalty and the sterling character he had exhibited over the years. The responsibility was immense. The assets and the operational reins of the company were now his to command. The legacy of the businessman was not just in the wealth accumulated or the business created, but in the values and visions that had been imparted. Lucas felt the weight of this legacy. It was a mantle he was now ready to wear, prepared by years of guidance under his mentor's watchful eye. With the passing of the businessman, Lucas was no longer just a protege, but the new leader of the enterprise. He understood that his actions would now reflect not only on himself, but also on the memory and the lifetime of efforts of the man who had changed his life in so many ways. As he prepared to step forward into this new role, Lucas knew he would carry forward not just a business but a cherished legacy, one that was shaped by trust, integrity, and the profound bond between two unlikely companions brought together by fate. As Lucas contemplated the future and the looming responsibilities, he realized that his first significant challenge was near. The coming days would require him to affirm his leadership and vision for the company, setting a course that would honor his mentor's legacy while forging a new path forward. Lucas stepped into his new role not just as a leader, but as a man profoundly changed by fortune and responsibility. The sudden influx of wealth was dizzying, its implications vast and complex. Yet, with the careful grounding instilled by his mentor, Lucas approached this new phase with a mixture of prudence and vision. His first actions were not extravagant purchases or displays of newfound wealth, but thoughtful investments in his and his mother's future. He began by securing a comfortable and secure home for his mother, a serene place where she could enjoy her days surrounded by gardens and the quiet hum of nature, a stark contrast to the cramped and noisy apartment that had confined their previous lives. This home was not just a residence but a sanctuary, a testament to his enduring gratitude towards the woman who had raised him with love and sacrifice. With his mother settled, Lucas turned his attention to the business. Stepping into the shoes of his mentor meant more than occupying an office. It involved steering the company through the transition of leadership. He implemented innovative practices and expanded into new markets, always guided by the ethical compass his mentor had helped him develop. His decisions were calculated and bold, aimed at not just sustaining, but growing the legacy entrusted to him. Despite his meteoric rise from a warehouse operator to a respected businessman, Lucas maintained his humility. He knew that his wealth and position were not measures of his worth, but tools for creating more good. He established scholarships and funded community projects, focusing particularly on opportunities for young people in underserved communities, giving back to the society that he once stood at the fringes of. His life, once marked by the mechanical rhythms of forklifts and pallets, now danced to the intricate beats of board meetings and strategy sessions. Yet, in quiet moments, Lucas reflected on the journey that had brought him here. The late-night conversations with his mentor, the shared meals in humble diners, the lessons learned not just in business but in life. These memories were his treasures, more valuable than any asset he could quantify. Gratitude permeated Lucas's actions, whether in boardroom decisions or in the personal attention he gave his employees. He knew the names of everyone from the executives to the janitorial staff, recognizing that each person was integral to the company's success. His leadership style was a blend of compassion and rigor, demanding excellence but offering support and understanding. As he built his life in this new paradigm, Lucas found that his greatest challenge was balancing the demands of his role with his personal growth. He sought to be a leader who was not only respected for his acumen, but loved for his empathy and fairness. Each decision he made was a brick in the legacy he was building, a legacy that was not just about wealth or business success, but about the impact he had on those around him. Now, as he faced the future, ready to navigate his company through the complexities of global markets and technological advancements, Lucas was also preparing to face a personal challenge that would test his resolve and heart in ways that business never could. His mother, the anchor of his past and the beacon for his future, was facing a health crisis, bringing a stark reminder of the transient nature of life and the enduring power of love. The news arrived on an otherwise unremarkable morning, shattering the tranquility that Lucas had meticulously built around his life and that of his mother. The diagnosis was stark. Cancer, with its fearsome capacity to overshadow all else, had intruded into their lives, casting long shadows over the future they had envisioned. It was a harsh reminder of life's fragility, a counterpoint to the business successes and the financial security that Lucas had achieved. Lucas found himself grappling with a torrent of emotions, fear, anger, disbelief, all swirling within him, yet he knew he had to harness this turmoil into something constructive. His mother, who had always been his cornerstone, now needed him to be hers. The roles reversed, and Lucas stepped into the breach without hesitation, determined to fight alongside her with every resource at his disposal. He immersed himself in understanding the disease, consulting with the best oncologists, researching treatments, and exploring both conventional and experimental avenues. Every decision was weighed with careful consideration, balancing the potential benefits and risks, always in consultation with the medical team, and most importantly, his mother's wishes. Lucas also took charge of adapting their home to meet his mother's new needs. The serene sanctuary he had created was now refitted with the necessary medical equipment, and nurses were brought in to provide professional care. Yet, he ensured that these changes did not strip away the home's comforting essence, preserving the gardens and the personal touches that his mother loved. Despite the demanding nature of his professional life, Lucas made sure to spend as much time as possible by his mother's side. He organized his schedule to be with her during treatments, to share meals, and simply to be there as a son, not just as her caretaker. Their conversations, once filled with casual updates and shared memories, now often touched on profound themes of life, legacy, and resilience. Through this journey, Lucas's respect and admiration for his mother deepened. Her strength in the face of such a trial was formidable. She faced her diagnosis with a grace and fortitude that inspired him every day. Her ability to find moments of joy in small daily interactions, to continue showing interest in his life and the business, reminded him of the indomitable spirit that had raised him. As they navigated this challenging path, Lucas ensured that every possible support system was in place. From emotional counseling to ensuring she had access to the best health care, he left no stone unturned. His mother's illness was a profound teacher, imparting lessons about the value of health, the preciousness of time, and the deep bonds of family. With each passing day, Lucas's life was increasingly defined not just by his business achievements, but by the quiet, relentless battle being fought in the tranquility of their home. As they braved each phase of the treatment, hopes were continually lifted and dashed, a testament to the unpredictable nature of battling such a relentless disease. And as Lucas prepared to face the future, regardless of its uncertainties, he was fortified by the love and strength that resonated within the walls of the home he had built around them, ready to face any challenge that lay ahead. The hospital had become a recurring backdrop in Lucas's life, a place he visited with rhythmic regularity as his mother underwent her treatment. The sterile corridors, the antiseptic smell that permeated the air, and the quiet murmur of hushed conversations became as familiar to him as the halls of his own company. But within this environment, governed by routine and medical necessity, a chance encounter introduced a new chapter into his already tumultuous life. It was during one of these visits that Lucas met Anna, a woman whose presence in the oncology ward was as constant as his. She was there for her brother, who was battling a similar malign force. Their initial interactions were brief, shared nods and small smiles of acknowledgement as they passed each other by the vending machines or in the waiting area. However, as they found themselves seated side by side during longer chemotherapy sessions, a bond began to form. rooted in shared experience and mutual understanding. Lucas and Anna soon found solace in their conversations. What began as exchanges of information about treatments and doctors evolved into deeper, more personal discussions about their fears, hopes, and the strains of their predicaments. They spoke about the world outside the hospital, their interests and dreams, slowly weaving a tapestry of connection that extended beyond the hospital's walls. This friendship blossomed into something more profound as they began to meet outside the clinical setting of the hospital. Coffee dates after appointments became long walks in the nearby park, where the natural beauty offered a stark contrast to the clinical interiors they had grown accustomed to. Their relationship, nourished by empathy and understanding, grew deeper with each passing day. Lucas, who had been so focused on his mother's care, found in Anna a kindred spirit who could truly comprehend the emotional toll his life had taken. Anna, in turn, found in Lucas a source of strength and stability, someone who could share the burden she carried. Their mutual support system gradually laid the foundation for a love that neither had anticipated but both deeply cherished. As the seasons changed, so did the nature of their relationship, transitioning from companionship and mutual support to a profound emotional and romantic connection. Their shared experiences had built a bridge between two lives touched by medical battles, a bridge strong enough to support a future together. Their decision to marry was a celebration of life amid the ongoing battle against illness, a testament to the fact that even in the shadow of adversity, joy could flourish. It was a quiet ceremony, attended by close family and friends, many of whom had supported them through their respective journeys. The union was not just a marriage of hearts, but of souls forged in the crucible of shared hardship. As Lucas and Anna navigated this new beginning together, their bond provided a renewed strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With Anna by his side, Lucas felt more equipped to support his mother and to handle the responsibilities that awaited him both in his personal and professional life. As they prepared to continue their journey together, Lucas found himself reflecting on the unexpected paths life had taken him, each step leading to this profound union, ready to face the future with renewed hope and resilience. In the aftermath of the quiet celebrations of Lucas and Anna's marriage, the family found themselves in the grip of a hopeful yet tense anticipation. Each hospital visit, each test, seemed to carry the weight of years of struggles, fears, and prayers. And then, the news they scarcely dared to hope for arrived. Lucas's mother was in remission. The cancer, that formidable foe that had loomed so large and threatening over their lives, was retreating. This victory, though cautiously celebrated at first, soon became a source of profound joy and relief for Lucas, his mother, and Anna. It was a triumph not just of medical treatment, but of the human spirit, of the relentless hope and unyielding support that the family provided to each other throughout this harrowing journey. Lucas's mother, whose strength and resilience had been the bedrock on which Lucas had built his values and ambitions, now radiated a quiet contentment that permeated throughout their home. The news brought with it a reinvigoration of spirits. The house, once overshadowed by the pall of illness, now buzzed with a renewed energy. Plans were made, future outings were discussed, and laughter returned as a regular soundtrack in the corridors and spaces that had seen too many quiet, contemplative evenings. Lucas and Anna, fortified by this victory, found their bond deepening, their shared experiences fostering a unique intimacy and understanding that permeated through their daily interactions. Lucas, in particular, felt a profound shift within himself. The battle against his mother's illness had been a crucible, testing and reshaping him. Now, with the shadow of cancer receding, he found himself looking at life through a lens polished by gratitude and resilience. He threw himself into his work with a renewed passion, driven not just by a desire to succeed, but by a commitment to make meaningful contributions to the world, a tribute to the second chance his mother had been granted. The celebration of his mother's recovery was a simple affair, filled with close family and friends. It was not marked by grand speeches or lavish displays, but by heartfelt conversations, shared meals, and quiet moments of reflection on the journey they had all undertaken. It was a testament to what they had endured together and a heartfelt thanksgiving for the outcome they had been blessed to receive. As Lucas looked around at the faces of those gathered, each person touched in some way by the journey of his mother's illness, he felt a surge of collective strength and unity. This victory was not born by his mother alone, but was a tapestry woven from the love, prayers, and support of everyone present. It was a shared victory, a communal triumph over adversity that bound them all closer. Emboldened by this renewal of hope and strength, Lucas and his family faced forward, ready to embrace the future and whatever it might hold. With his mother's health restored and Anna by his side, Lucas felt an unprecedented optimism about the possibilities ahead. Yet even as they planned for brighter days, new challenges loomed on the horizon, ready to test the resilience and bonds of the family once again. As Lucas stepped into the light of a new chapter, with his mother's health restored and a profound sense of gratitude permeating his every action, he found himself reflecting deeply on the path that had brought him to this point. The journey had been fraught with challenges, yet each obstacle had imparted invaluable lessons, not only about the nature of business, but about the essence of human resilience and compassion. Inspired by these experiences and guided by the enduring wisdom of his late mentor, Lucas was driven by a newfound purpose: to extend the legacy of generosity and support that had so dramatically shaped his life. Determined to give back to the community that had seen him through his darkest hours, Lucas embarked on a mission to channel his resources into creating opportunities for others. He established a series of charitable foundations, each designed with a specific focus in mind: health and education. These were areas he identified as critical, having witnessed firsthand the transformative impact of proper health care through his mother's illness and the empowering nature of education in his own life. The Health Foundation aimed to provide access to quality medical care for those who were least able to afford it. Remembering the days spent in hospital corridors and the difference that expert care had made to his mother, Lucas was committed to ensuring that more families could receive the same level of support without the accompanying financial burden. The foundation funded research, supported treatment for chronic diseases, and offered scholarships to aspiring medical professionals, especially those from underprivileged backgrounds. In education, Lucas focused on creating programs that would offer young people the skills needed for success in an ever-changing global economy. His initiatives ranged from scholarships and school funding to community projects that provided practical training in technology and entrepreneurship. He believed that empowering the youth was empowering the future, and his programs aimed to nurture a generation of leaders who were socially responsible and innovation-driven. Beyond the setup of these foundations, Lucas was hands-on in his approach. He visited schools and hospitals, met with educators and healthcare professionals, and participated in community events to understand better the needs and challenges of those his foundations aimed to help. His personal involvement ensured that the initiatives remained aligned with his vision of making a tangible, positive impact on people's lives. Through these endeavors, Lucas not only perpetuated the legacy of his mentor, but also crafted his own. The values of integrity, humility, and kindness that had been instilled in him were now pillars upon which his charitable activities were built. He viewed each project not just as an investment in the community, but as a tribute to the man who had believed in him when he was just a young worker with unrefined potential. As Lucas laid the groundwork for these transformative projects, his vision for a better future gained clarity and momentum. The fulfillment he derived from this work enriched his life in ways he had never imagined, providing him with a profound sense of purpose and satisfaction. Yet, even as he built this legacy of kindness, new personal challenges began to surface, testing his resilience and demanding even greater strength and commitment. As he prepared to navigate these upcoming trials, Lucas remained anchored by the values that had guided him this far, ready to face whatever lay ahead with the same determination and grace that had become his hallmark. As Lucas stood at the window of his office, overlooking the vibrant cityscape that had been the backdrop of his profound transformation, he found himself in a contemplative state. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, casting long shadows and bathing the city in a warm, forgiving light. It was moments like these that prompted him to pause and reflect on the journey that had reshaped not only his destiny, but the destinies of those around him. The unpredictability of life, as Lucas had learned, held both trepidation and promise. Each decision, each action, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, had the potential to send ripples through the fabric of existence, altering paths in unforeseen ways. His own life was a testament to this phenomenon. A simple, compassionate act on a rainy night, an act he could have easily dismissed, had instead forged a new path for him, guided by the hands of a wise mentor who had seen potential in a young man's kindness. As he reflected, Lucas realized that his story was not just about the success and wealth he had gained. It was about the responsibilities that came with those gifts. He thought about the faces of the children who attended the schools he funded, the patients who received care because of his health initiatives, and the young entrepreneurs who found their footing through his programs. Their stories were now woven into his, a tapestry rich with the threads of shared humanity and collective progress. Lucas understood that his journey was not solely his own creation. It was also the product of countless others who had influenced him along the way. His mother's resilience, his mentor's wisdom, Anna's unwavering support, and even the unnamed individuals who had shown him kindness when he was still an obscure warehouse worker. Each person had played a part in shaping the man he had become. This deep introspection brought Lucas a profound sense of gratitude and a renewed commitment to his principles. He knew that with the resources and influence at his disposal, he had the power to effect even greater change. Yet he also recognized the importance of humility and the need to remain connected to his roots. His wealth and status would never overshadow the core values instilled in him from that first act of kindness: empathy, integrity, and the desire to contribute positively to the world. As the day faded and the city lights began to twinkle below, Lucas felt a quiet satisfaction in knowing that his actions had created a legacy of kindness that would outlast his lifetime. The promise he had silently made to a frail old man on a bus had been fulfilled many times over, in ways he could never have imagined. With these reflections filling his mind, Lucas turned away from the window, ready to face whatever challenges and opportunities the future might hold. His life, forever changed by a series of serendipitous events, was a narrative of hope and determination, a continuous journey of learning and giving back, ever guided by the belief that one person's actions can indeed make a world of difference.
So, if you're not subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button below and join our community. Thank you for your support and see you in the next videos.